You know, there are a lot of great classic video games everyone loves to talk about, but none are more infamous and well forgotten than the Power Stone series. And I am a major big fan of this franchise myself. Back when I was a young kid and I went to this place called Nickel City, where arcade cabinets were literally a nickel a game, I actually saw an arcade cabinet and played Power Stone 2. I fell in love with the series after that. Though I don't really own the games, I would love to talk about them in the future. But again, that's only going to happen if I ever own a Dreamcast, which I don't own, or the games. But I feel like I've been talking about video games quite a lot on this channel, and even though I was going to talk about anime content, and I've only done technically like 4 things, I think it's about time I talked about something old school anime style, and to my surprise that no one's really mentioned, well, sometimes, Power Stone has an anime, and it aired not that long after the game launched. Power Stone first debuted in Japan back in February of 1999, and the Power Stone anime actually aired in Japan in 1999 in April, 2 months after the video game. That's pretty crazy, especially a year later after the anime aired, Power Stone 2 came out, and I can see some inspiration from Power Stone's anime be inspired into Power Stone 2. The anime is made by TBS as well as Studio Pierrot, and has a 26 episode run. The anime was also licensed in the US by ADV Films, and was released in the US in 2003. You know, when most people talk about the Power Stone games, they always reference the anime, but has anyone actually seen the anime? Well, except for me now. I actually own all 6 of the DVDs, which has all 26 episodes. A couple of them were pretty cheap, but there were 2 that roughly went for nearly 20 bucks. Luckily, I got this with my Christmas money. And after watching Power Stone, I can understand why people don't remember this series. Well, they only remember specific things, such as the intro to the series, which is honestly really cool. Here's a little clip of it.
Long ago, from the land where legends are born, it is said that one strange and special night, a night shrouded in mystery, 7 sacred stones received a magical burst of energy. The stones grew so powerful that nothing could contain them. When these 7 stones are reunited, a new age of miracles and wonders will occur.
If you can tell from the opening sequence, it definitely has that old school anime feel where they definitely edited over certain situations and didn't play the full anime opening. A little disappointing, but what are you gonna do? It was the 90s back then. They did that all the time. When talking about the Power Stone games, the first one doesn't technically have a story. It's usually a bunch of these random people who are trying to fight one another for the power of the Power Stone so they can grant a wish. Usually when they grab 3 Power Stones, they transform them into their ultimate beings, which I used to think always represented them in a way. Such as Edward Falcon's Power Stone ability turns him into like a humanoid robot plane, best representing his burning spirit and explosive personality. Or Ryomi becoming like a silver samurai, not the Marvel character, representing he wants to become a great swordsman. But that's just usually my interpretation of how I saw Power Stone's characters, so you can take that with a grain of salt if you want to. I think I'm getting ahead of myself. I should probably introduce the characters in the series. Obviously, we start off with the main character of the franchise and the face of Power Stone, Edward Falcon, son of Pride Falcon. Edward is the main character of the series, and of course, like most 90s anime, he wants to become the greatest fighter in the world. Falcon also idolizes Valgus, and if you're familiar with the Power Stone series, you can probably take a guess where this is going. And he's kind of a dick. He can be very self-centered and egotistical and a little bit of a jerk. He also treats a lot of his friends around him not really nice, including his butler, Apollos, who is an original character, but I don't like Apollos that much. I will generally state this, there are a few characters that are anime original and are non-canon to the plot. Apollos is one of them, and his only characteristic is the fact that he's always a whimpering crybaby, always crying for Edward or his master Pride, always screaming master every single time.
Young master, young master, young master, young master, young master!
It got kind of annoying. Though I will generally say there are moments when Apollos does shine. In fact, much later later in the series, he actually gets a Power Stone transformation, which I kinda wish was canon. If they ever do a Power Stone remake, add Apollos as a character. Give him a fencing sword or a spear, I don't care. Edward doesn't really do much in the beginning of the series. One day Edward's father, Pride Falcon, actually sends him a rock, which actually turns out to be one of the legendary Power Stones. 7 in total. Make a Sonic joke all you want, I don't care. At first, he doesn't really care that he has a magical item like a Power Stone from the Legends, even though he can literally transform into an all-powerful being. However, over time, he discovers that he should probably ask his dad about these Power Stones, especially after he gets a second one. So he's traveling all around the world to find his father, also introducing himself to tons of other characters throughout the series, such as the Wandering Samurai Ryoma, who also wields a Power Stone, but he uses it for his training. Ryoma uses it for training by not using the Power Stone, which is a little redundant if you think about it. It's supposed to be like a control of the mind situation, I guess, but Ryoma has a lot of things that he has to control other than that. Then there's also the Fortune Teller Rouge. She's mostly for plot convenience, in all honesty is kinda useless when it comes to most of the fighting in the series. Once when she gets her own Power Stone, even though it looks red, it's technically orange. That's probably animation error or inconsistency. That's when she actually starts becoming more combat ready throughout the series, and the only time she's combat ready. Then there's Ayame, who's a ninja, along with her ninja clan, who are on a mission to find a Power Stone to give to their leader. She also happens to have a crush on Falcon, and these four are kind of the main characters throughout most of the series, in my honest opinion. These characters get the most screen time out of everyone, but there are additional other characters in the series, such as Wang Tang, a martial artist in training who also specializes in cooking. He can also go Super Saiyan. There's Gunrock, my personal favorite character, mostly because he has the best personality, because he is a father of 5, and he's looking for love. Aw, that's sweet. Also, he's a gambling addiction. Ooh, that's not sweet. Galuda, who is a Native American from Soilland, and I should probably mention this, yeah, this is made in 1999, so some of the ideas they had were kinda a little offensive in a way. It's just that a lot of the characters definitely sound like stereotypes, honestly. It's just that the writing's a little aged. And the last character, Jack, who has probably the least amount of screen time in this entire series. Apparently, he's a 100-year-old man-child who has burns on his face, and is trying to steal Falcon's Power Stone because it originally belonged to his mother. Also, he has a submarine ship, which is a little cool, honestly. Though I don't really like Jack's voice in this at all. It sounds very cackly and obnoxious, and very screechy to the ears.
Give me back my lovely, lovely stone. I've got you.
There's also bad guys in the series as well, one of which is the Octopus Gang, led by the evil Captain Kraken, even though they pronounce it Kraken for some reason, who also has a Power Stone, which turns him into his really badass form, and he can also control sea animals. Don't remember that in the game. There's also a bunch of grunts that literally all look the same, and the two original grunts, Octo and Puss, the twin brothers that look nothing like twins. And I've heard people say they don't like Team Rocket, and I never got that as a kid, but after watching Power Stone's anime and seeing these two characters, I can understand why now. Octo and Puss are the worst characters in this series. They are annoying, bad, and I don't like how they're voiced. They're just basically con artists who scam people, trying to get Power Stones and failing over and over again, and they're just borderline obnoxious. I don't really like these guys. And lastly, Valgus, who is supposed to be the greatest martial artist in the world, but turns out is secretly the main antagonist of the series. And I would go into more detail about that, but sadly the anime doesn't do that. The first quarter of the anime is just Edward just dealing with a lot of crap he doesn't want to deal with, such as Jack, other people who want his Power Stone, Ryoma wanting to fight him, girl trouble with Rouge and Ayame, Apollos whining at him, Falcon being in an arranged marriage, you know, typical anime trope stuff, traveling across the lands, which are really dumb names. Most of the series does take place in Sunland, but there's also Fireland, Woodland, Soilland, Waterland, Moonland, and also Goldland. Actually, I like Goldland. And eventually the last story arc, Darkland. Though if you look on the map in the Power Stone game, it looks incredibly nothing like. I think this might have been the anime taking their own consistencies on account of, no real proper story in Power Stone. Most of the anime is about Edward traveling around trying to find his father to uncover the secrets of the Power Stones. They eventually change the story plot so they want to get rid of Kraken, but then again that's actually a good reason because, he's been a major pain in the derriere, and what he did to Soyland is very unforgivable. And then after he's defeated, he just kind of disappears throughout the rest of the anime. Till the end. And then for some reason, Edward gets a letter from his father telling him to come home because he came home this entire time. Dude, what the f***? Edward went all around the world trying to find you so he can uncover the secrets of the Power Stones. Though I should mention the Power Stones in this anime. Even though there are 3 Power Stones in the game, there are 7 in the anime, which was also eventually added into Power Stone 2. So there's consistency with there. What's really weird about the consistency of the Power Stones is, well, there are 7 different colors of them in total. Falcon and Jack usually fight over the red Power Stone to transform, Ryoma has a yellow Power Stone, Rouge technically has the orange Power Stone even though it's animated red, which I've mentioned before, probably an animation inconsistency. Kraken used to have the light blue Power Stone, which Ayame stole, and now wields. Wang Tang has a green Power Stone, Galuda has the purple Power Stone, but Gunrock also has a yellow Power Stone. Of all the Power Stones colors, pure blue is the only one missing throughout the entire series. Hell, this was even in the first game, red, blue, and yellow Power Stones. How did they mess this up? You have 2 yellow Power Stones, one by Ryoma, one for Gunrock. You could have fixed this. It's a major animation inconsistency. Speaking of consistency, the story. After defeating Kraken, Falcon and his friends decide to go back home and go their separate ways, but on their way back home, Rouge gets her Power Stone stolen by a monstrous dog, which turns out to be a human with a black Power Stone-like shard in the back of his neck. And it turns out someone's trying to steal their Power Stones. This happens to Ryoma and Wang Tang. Luckily, other characters like Gunrock and Galuda help out on the situation. And it turns out it's actually Valgus who's behind this, which was actually hinted towards throughout most of the series. But if you've already played Power Stone, that's not much of a spoiler, honestly. What's pretty interesting, however, is that Valgus has a Dark Power Stone, the same one from the sequel game, owned by this guy. And Valgus has been using the power of the Dark Power Stone to turn all of his fighters into monsters so he can steal all 7 Power Stones and make a world where only the strongest can survive. Also, Falcon for some reason gives Jack back his family Power Stone, and he gets a new Power Stone, the Clear Power Stone, which turns him into a really cool version of his original design. Again, non-canon stuff, but what's really cool is they actually turned Valgus into his final boss form thanks to the Power Stone. They also turned him into his Power Stone transformation, which looks really goofy in the anime version, in my honest opinion, while the video game one made him look very threatening. Valgus disappears, the Power Stones are scattered across the world again, and everyone goes their separate ways. Ayame's traveling with her family again, Gunrock's married to one of the original characters in the anime, got more kids, Rouge and Ryoma don't become a couple, Wang Tang's still training, and Falcon and Apollos travel to the skies on a plane, potentially hinting at a Power Stone 2. Which never happened. Yeah, Power Stone's anime is not the most consistent of storytelling, but it's still entertaining its own right. I don't really recommend collecting the series on account of it's a little bit of a slog to sit through, and some of the DVDs are starting to get a little more expensive to collect over time. However, with Discotek collecting a lot of different anime rights from old school animes and republishing them with their complete collection, maybe Power Stone will be one of those series that gets a retranslated edition. Heck, maybe even the original Japanese version. Because I am looking at the English dub version, and if you can tell from the animation, there is a lot of hand-drawn style, but you also notice some pixelation. That's mostly because the anime actually got a lot of editing done over it. It's mostly noticeable through high resolution, plus they also wanted to edit out certain scenes that were not okay for children, such as where Edward finds a collection of his father's porn magazines, and it turns out to be now a book on martial arts collections, which also has a picture of Wang Tang for some reason. Power Stone's anime is not really the most structured storytelling, but it's still a okay-ish anime. It gives a lot of our characters, with the exception of Jack, a lot more personality and more interest in the characters. I mean, with the exception of the game, the characters really had no personality or backstory in the original games. You only just get that one cutscene at the end when you just see what they wished for. In the Power Stone anime, we see more development throughout the series and our favorite characters. Even though Falcon is a bit of a jerk throughout the beginning of the series, he actually does respect his friends. But once when he realizes that Valgus is the bad guy, he starts going back to jerk mode. But then he eventually learns his lesson. Though some characters get more development than others, such as Wang Tang and Jack getting little to none, though I kinda wish there were probably more references or hints towards the Power Stone 2 game. Plus, the anime kinda acts like it could lead to Power Stone 2 in a way, with the Power Stone scattered adding more to the lore, because some characters in Power Stone 2 do get some story arcs, such as Pete, who's based off Pinocchio, and a Power Stone actually gave him life. But again, that's up to interpretation. Even though the Power Stone anime isn't great, I still recommend looking it up on YouTube if you're a hardcore Power Stone fan. Collecting the DVDs is not easy until the anime is eventually redistributed on Blu-ray. Hopefully that'll happen, but who knows. And maybe one day I'll eventually talk about the Power Stone games. Maybe someday. Just not today. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have you guys seen the Power Stone anime? Leave a comment on what you guys thought about the anime yourself, or if you've actually played the games. I'd love to know who's your favorite character in the series. And I'd love to talk about Power Stone in the future. Not just the games, but I'd love to do a what-if situation for a Power Stone remake or sequel. Something I've been thinking of for a little while now. And if you want to see that, just like and subscribe. Also, you can also hit the join button now to be part of a monthly membership. I'll still be posting content for free for a lot of viewers, plus they also support making more videos like this on the channel. But of course, you can also like and subscribe and ring the bell for notifications if you want to keep helping out the channel. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.